Hey, welcome to Adopt and Evolve, where we help organizations maximize their investments in their business systems post go live. I'm Jeff Stone, a Senior Director at Armanino. Today I'm joined by Jyoti Chavda, a finance consultant in our Microsoft practice. Welcome, Jyoti.
Thanks, Jeff. It's so great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So I know you help our clients optimize their ERP systems, many different organizations, many different stages. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of our, more fast-moving clients and specifically how we help them when they need to add new entities in their system post go live. Sound good?
Yes, sounds good. So, this is such a timely topic, especially for high growth and private equity backed companies. I feel like we are starting to see more M&A activity lately in the recent years. And oftentimes, these projects come with urgency, but not always a clear roadmap. And that's where we step in, not just to execute, but to guide.
Yeah, exactly. We like to say around here that go live is just the beginning. So I know all these companies that they're moving fast, they get their ERP system in place, but it's just as important that they set it up in a way that it's flexible, that can continue to evolve. And it's all industries, not just PE firms, right?
Exactly. So I've worked with a construction and security company that needed a new entity after an acquisition. And we also had a life science organization that opened a production facility in Spain recently too. So there's always something.
Yeah, and I think what's unique is like some of these companies, they probably haven't even caught their breath yet from getting into their new system, and then they need to jump right into a new entity being added. So for your team focused on those post go live services, it's tricky because, even though we have our typical approach of helping clients adopt, evolve, stabilize, optimize, maximize the system, it's not like linear for these companies. They're joining at different stages. They've got one group that's done, they're thinking about optimizing and maximizing, and then another group comes in, they have to get stabilized. So a lot of challenges. What are some of the biggest that you face when you're trying to add these new entities for folks?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge is probably what we call data harmonization. Each new entity might have a different chart of accounts, currencies, approval workflows, or even other compliance requirements. They may be coming from a different ERP or even just QuickBooks or Excel, and that terminology can also really tend to differ. And their own legacy data might not even be 100% cleaned up and consistent. So without a unified data model, process optimization and reporting can become a nightmare. And for private equity firms, especially, that's a big deal because they need that consolidated real time insights. We once had a client, for example, that formed a joint venture with a logistics partner, and the new entity had a very different structure. So instead of forcing it into an old model, we used that as a chance to redesign their financial dimensions so that they can track their profitability by region and by partner. And overall, it ended up improving reporting across the board.
That's pretty complicated. So I mean, it's got to be challenging to do that in a repetitive way. I mean, I know we have some of our own academy programs and things like that to help with training, but this is definitely going to be a little different each time for these types of projects, I would think.
Yes, exactly. So it helps if we know that their current ERP is a definite target state as is, and then we can map to that. But sometimes the merger or acquisition brings on new thoughts about what should be their standards. So typically, we conduct a chart of accounts workshop to flesh out requirements and to make sure the new folks understand the dimensions and structure of the target system. We talk a lot about the outputs and reporting needs, not just the inputs and data loading. And then we get them started on the mappings that are necessary. If a change is needed to the existing data in the target application, then we can identify it early and start preparing for any scripts or mass updates that may be needed.
That makes sense. It kind of leads into my next thought is like, how do we actually technically manage this? I mean, they're working live in their current production system. So what is the strategy around adding to that without disrupting what's already live?
Right. So the governance and environment management aspects are key. We've seen that without a clear deployment plan and strong internal controls, adding entities can definitely introduce risk. Luckily, we have done a number of these. and have a really strong system engineers team that know how to deploy new environments, specifically to use for the new entity rollouts, including data migration, testing, and training purposes. And they do it in a way that won't slow us down from supporting and continuing to optimize the live system. We also typically recommend something called a playbook for entity onboarding. It doesn't have to be entirely overly complex, but it does have a repeatable checklist. So it covers everything from environment setup to user training, and it helps reduce that friction and ensures consistency throughout, especially as more entities start to come on and become added down the line.
Very good. Yeah, it's I'm sure they're each a little different, but having that structure, that playbook is key. I mean, I can see sometimes when we do this, the target isn't even necessarily the same, right? They're not always looking to get every transaction and their full GL and everything into the new system. It might be that they're going to continue to use their old system in parallel if the entities are so unique. And maybe in those cases, we're just looking to, get balances in and to use a tool like Workday Adaptive or Hyperion to do consolidations. I know we've done those projects as well. So yeah, it's a little different every time. Um, any other challenges with these projects that you're seeing more often?
Like any new system implementation, there's of course going to be a human side to it along with the technical piece. Change management is going to be key. We work closely with finance teams to ensure that they're trained and confident in using the new system, similar to how we would do the original go live. We put the same emphasis on their hypercare and adoption stages without expecting that the folks that currently are using the system to be the only support that the new team members have.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can imagine, like I said earlier, the folks that have been there, done that, and they're moving on to their next thing, or they're trying to optimize the system. Maybe they don't even remember how to handle some of the things that come up in those first weeks, or they just don't have the bandwidth to be as responsive, right?
Exactly. So even if a client is leading most of the efforts, feeling like they have already been through it, we make sure to block some time on our calendars for supporting the first couple of weeks of new entity go live. We help clients adopt the right practices and involve their systems in a way that supports long-term scalability, not just those short-term fixes. We treat each new entity as that chance to improve, whether it's refining that reporting, cleaning up that legacy data, or introducing automation. Every new addition is going to be that opportunity to evolve the system into something stronger.
Very cool, very cool. Well, again, I think you've seen this quite a bit. It's awesome to hear your stories here. I know we could talk all day about some of this stuff. I really just wanted to get an idea for it. I think the kind of the economic climate we're in these days, we're going to see more of this, mergers, acquisitions. So you may have to come back again sometime soon, but definitely really appreciate you stopping by today.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks to the viewers for checking out another episode of Adopt and Evolve. We're here to help you keep getting the most out of that system. Good luck with that, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody.
Talk soon.